Welcome to Salsido Paranormal. I'm your host, James Salsido, and tonight I am continuing my series on haunted places in the U.S. As always, you can find all episodes of the show along with links to social media, ways to listen, and ways to support the show at the website, and that is salsidoparanormal.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.com. There are many ways to support the show. You can always share the show with others and rate and review it on your favorite podcast platforms. You can also sign up for the Patreon feed and get extra content there. All the extra content there that's already been posted, as well as any future content as it is posted, for as little as $1 a month. And you can also check out the merchandise store and get all kinds of shirts and other items with designs made by friends of the show. Also, please follow friends of the show, other friends of the show, who hey, I have an episode description. That will be Jen, the Arcane Observer, who has her own channel and is the co-host of this show. Even though she hasn't been able to make it for a while, she will always be, to me anyway, the co-host of this show, and we'll welcome her back when she's able to join us again. Um, and also Michael Strange of Trouble Minds Radio and the Trouble Minds Radio Network, KUAP, Digital Broadcasting, where you can hear all kinds of amazing shows, as well as my own, 24/7 online for free. I think that takes care of everything. Or one other note for this coming week, which is of course in the U.S. the week of Thanksgiving, due to family gatherings and also a dentist appointment to get some teeth extracted. Uh, I will not be recording any shows next week. The only day I would be able to record that I know for sure would be Monday, and it's just that's not going to be enough for a whole week of shows. If I feel up to doing so on starting Wednesday next week, I will release shows that have been previously recorded throughout the week. Try to get the usual 5 shows released. But I do not want to promise that until I know how I'm feeling, um, and and can actually do that. So no recordings next week for sure, and then possibly releases, but possibly not. We will see how it goes. So just a little bit of a programming update, I guess you could say. And as far as this podcast goes, but we still have the rest of this week. As I'm recording here, it's Friday night, and so and actually I don't know why I said all this because this is going to come out after a while after Thanksgiving by the time it actually comes out. Anyway, that's the dangers of recording in advance. Anyway, so let's just skip all that for now. I will talk to everyone about it in the chat in Discord. Um, I'll post about it when it gets closer in linear time as we know it. But so yeah, let me see here. So a couple things I always like to point out in these shows about haunted places in the U.S. Um, please check out the any information you can find as far as the current state of all these places that I talk about, because if you want to visit them, because I do not recommend trespassing for a number of reasons. Uh, and so the information I have from articles I've found and things, it may not be current. And so just if you have any interest in these places and seeing them in person, please make sure it is still okay to do so whenever you are looking into these places. So, and I will include links in every episode description to all the places I talk about, as I usually do. Usually just a couple per location, because once you have a couple, you can start doing your own research if you get a lot more interested. And also in regards to that too, which I should say that I do not say for sure that 100% that everything I post in these shows is accurate, because again, information can change and things can be found out after an article has been printed. So, but yeah, we are in the middle of Kansas right now. The location's in Kansas, and so let's get back to this series here. So, the next location we are on is the 1889 McIntyre Villa, and that's in Atchison, Kansas. And this is a historic Victorian mansion renowned for both its architectural significance and its intense paranormal activity history. The McIntyre Villa was built in 1889 to 1890 for John McIntyre. I'm probably saying that wrong. Immigrant, an Irish immigrant, who became a successful harness and saddle maker in Atchison. He married twice. His first wife, Alice, died in the house in 19. I'm sorry, not 19. 1892. He married Anna Conlon, a widow with three sons, in 1895. After McIntyre's death in 1902, Anna lived there until 1916. From 1916 to about 1925, Anna's brother, Judge Charles J. Conlon, a prominent lawyer, and his family lived there. The house served as a rooming house for 25 years, starting in the 1920s. In 1952, Isabel Altus, a retired professional violinist and eccentric figure known for wearing black, purchased the house. She lived there until her death in 1969. The mansion underwent restoration afterward and is a picturesque historic landmark listed on the National Register of Historic Places. And now we get to the haunting. The McIntyre Villa is considered one of Atchison's most haunted houses, with 9 documented deaths, including, well, it goes into details there, but we don't need to go into that so much. Paranormal activity reported includes lights turning on and off by themselves, notably in the tower, which has no electricity. That's fascinating. Doors slamming, unexplained footsteps, apparitions, and objects moving or disappearing. Isabel Altus's spirit is said to haunt the mansion. She has been seen wearing black, and her rocking chair has been witnessed moving mysteriously. Visitors often experience cold spots, whispering voices, and the sensation of being watched, especially on the second floor. The house was reportedly used for funeral ceremonies at one time, possibly contributing to the dense spirit presence. That is always possible. The presence in the attic and basement are areas is described as especially heavy and unsettling, with the basement often avoided altogether. And that's where that one ends. So it sounds like a lot of activity, a lot of history there. Um, if you have a place that's been around for over 100 years, you're going to, I would think, usually have just life happening there, and that's a lot of life to happen in a location, and in some cases, death. The fact that it was used for some, uh, again, as mentioned there, cer- funeral ceremonies could add to activity there as well. But so next we have the Eva C. Cray, Cray, historical home, which is also in Atchison, Kansas. And this is a beautifully preserved Victorian era mansion. So going to history here. The home was built in 1882 by W. W. Hetherington, son of the founder of the Exchange National Bank of Atchison. It is a grand 25-room mansion featuring exquisite Victorian architecture, including a three-story castle-like tower. The Hetherington family lived in the house for approximately 80 years through multiple generations. In 1978, Cloud Cray Sr. purchased the home for his wife Eva Cray. So this is it's named after someone more recent. That's fascinating. A history lover and preservationist, no S there, at then, who dedicated her life to decorating the the house with Victorian period antiques and relics. Eva Cray maintained the home, until her passing in 1992, filling it with notable collections, including an award-winning 1893 World's Fair bedroom set. That's fascinating. That was even a thing. And other unique historical pieces. The carriage house has been refurbished into a gift shop and small theater that shows films about Atchison's architecture. Uh, the Today, the house operates as a museum, showcasing Victorian decor and providing visitors a glimpse into the opulence and lifestyle of the late 19th century. And now on to the paranormal side of things. Uh, while primarily known for its historic significance and beauty, the carriage house is said to have some reports of paranormal activity, connecting it to the history of the mansion. Paranormal reports include unexplained sounds within the premises and some ghostly sightings, though the haunting aspect is less prominent than at other Atchison sites. The home is still a key cultural landmark and occasionally featured in ghost tours of Atchison, with visitors intrigued by both its history and its aura. And which again, that word there at the end, I think, is key because I don't think, and I'm sure people can relate to this, there doesn't always have to be objects moving or apparitions seen or sounds heard for you to feel history or the energy of history, or I don't know what you would call it again. Aura is probably as close to that as you can get. Um, to sort of for it to be paranormal in a way. I think that's a lot of places I think have that. It's just that unless you get to go there and visit it, you might not have any idea. So yeah, I like that one there. It's that there's some reports of activity, but it's not a ton. And but the big thing is just the history of the location that is said to be possibly something that people can sense. Next, we have the Stull, and that's Stull Cemetery in Douglas County, Kansas. And this is one of the most infamous haunted places in the U.S., supposedly, surrounded by dark folklore and legends. So, on to the history now. Stull is a tiny, unincorporated community settled in the mid 19th century by Pennsylvania Dutch immigrants. The Stull Cemetery dates back to the 1860s, adjoining the ruins of the evangelical Emmanuel Church built by the original settlers. The cemetery and church site became well known for a series of local tragedies, including accidental deaths. Stories began to circulate that the original town name was Skull, changed to Stull to obscure the area's alleged connections to witchcraft and black magic. The abandoned church was later rumored to have hosted black masses And this is I always wonder about this because it's almost always rumored to have had these things happen. Anyway, and developed a sinister reputation. Although the building was eventually demolished without clear authorization in 2002, I wonder about that. That's weird. The legend remains, and it does say it's a legend, so that's a good thing. A gravestone marked Wittich, Wittich, excuse me, is said to hold either the bones of a child born, again, this is probably all again according to legend, to the devil or the mother of the devil's child. Um, so it talks about all this negative folklore until it grew into a story that that this area is known as one of the seven gateways to hell, which is again apparently more legends. Excuse me. But anyway, hauntings and legends. It is said that the devil appears in person at Stull Cemetery twice a year on Halloween and the spring equinox. Stories report supernatural events like unexplained memory loss, being physically grabbed by unseen forces, and eerie lights and sounds. Urban legends claim that the cemetery is a portal to hell, again, according to urban legends. And so, yeah, the cemetery attracted huge crowds on Halloween nights in the 1980s, leading to police intervention due to vandalism, which is always sad. Legend also claims Pope John Paul II diverted his flight path to avoid flying over Stull, though this is unconfirmed. So, again, now with a lot of these cases, so if you notice there's not much reports of paranormal activity, but I think it's important to point these kinds of places out because you have this reputation. But I'm really curious. I mean, it doesn't sound like there's a ton of activity there other than all this folklore. But then again, with all the thought energy of thoughts and emotions focused on the place, that doesn't mean there can't be things going on there. It's just sad that all this that all it takes is sort of one negative legend, one reported sort of attribute or event or um, negative aspect, supposedly negative aspect of a place, and then it just snowballs to build up into this huge reputation to the point where they have a legend about a pope diverting their flight path to avoid flying over the cemetery. Now, again, I do believe in energy and emotions and thoughts causing that and amplifying that. So, and there are anomalies in skies where planes have hard times flying around. But I would think with this one, if there was such a thing, there would be more than just one legend about one event. Um, so, anyway, those things are kind of, I think it's important to cover them, but also um, it's important to sort of look at them in all the ways, not just the one way that the legends and folklore and urban legends, especially, um, want paint the area to be. So, anyway, words are hard. Let's see if we can get through one more location here before we end this episode. Next one is the old Abilene town in Abilene, Kansas, and this is a reconstructed historic district that preserves the legacy of one of the most famous cow towns from around the American Old West era. It is renowned both for its Wild West history, marked by cattle drives, infamous gunfighters, and lawmen, and its reputation as one of Kansas's most haunted towns, with numerous reports of paranormal activity in recent decades. Historical background. Abilene was founded, and I apologize if I'm not saying that right, in 1857 as Mud Creek and renamed Abilene in 1860. Its rise began in 1867 when Joseph McCoy established it as the railhead for cattle shipped from Texas. There we go, making Abilene the legendary endpoint of the uh, Chisholm Trail. I'm not sure how to even say that. Chisholm Trail. The town quickly evolved into a center for rowdy cowboys, uh, gamblers, and saloon life, developing a reputation for wildness with frequent gunfights and brawls. Legendary fighters like Lawman Bear River, Tom Smith, basically the same name, and Wild Bill Hickok served as town marshals during Abilene's most chaotic years, helping to restore order. By 1872, the cattle industry moved elsewhere, and the town shifted toward settling homesteaders and taming its rough reputation. Haunting legends and paranormal activity. Abilene, and especially Old Abilene Town, is widely considered one of the most haunted places in Kansas. Numerous ghost tours and paranormal investigations have been held here, with visitors and investigators reporting encounters such as apparitions of cowboys and townsfolk, many believed to still wander after violent deaths during shootouts or cheating at cards, uh, disembodied voices, footsteps where nobody is present, objects, sometimes blankets or furniture, moving on their own, and doors opening or slamming inexplicably. Distinct cold spots and the sensation of being touched by unseen hands, especially in historic buildings recreated from the original Cowtown era. Local legends mention that even experienced town marshals met tragic ends. Thomas Bear River Smith was brutally killed, and Wild Bill Hickok was famed for sending lawbreakers to the Undertaker. Visitors are often encouraged to bring cameras or recording devices, as many claim to capture unexplained phenomena on ghost tours and haunted walks. The spectral presence is said to be strongest in places where Old West drama played out, so saloons, old jails, and along the wooden boardwalks of old Abilene town. Goes into community events here. Uh, Old Abilene town remains a living history site, offering reenactments of gunfights, living museum experiences, and annual haunted walks celebrating uh, the local ghost stories, and supernatural lore. Its preservation and haunting reputation draw Western historians, paranormal enthusiasts, and travelers curious about the legacy of the American frontier and its lasting spirits. So that'll do it for that. Thank you all for being here and listening in, and we'll pick this up in the next episode in this series. And thank you all for listening, and I will talk to you all next time on Salsido Paranormal. Take care.